salutations to another fun-filled episode of IGN Weekly, coming at you from the New York Comic-Con, where I have been cosplaying as Bullet Witch on the show floor, and our editors have gotten sneak peeks at the comics, movies, and manga, along with much more. But that's not all we have for you this week. We also have an exclusive look at Warhawk. So less talk and more walk. Let's get this show on the road.
Hey guys, Jeff Haynes here from the IGN PlayStation team, and we're at the Hill Aerospace Museum in Utah. We came over here to check out Warhawk. A lot of things have happened since last year's E3, and we thought we'd give you a sneak peek at some of the changes. Let's go fly the unfriendly skies.
Warhawk, since its inception, being just a flight-only game, people want more. They want the freedom to do whatever they want to do in-game.
We didn't design Warhawk initially for the 6-axis controller. We knew Sony was going to do something special with the controller, but in the early days, we weren't sure really what it was.
It's very pick up and play. Anybody can understand that if you tilt the stick or you tilt the controller to the right, the plane goes to the right. If you tilt it to the left, the plane goes to the left. Back, it goes up.
A group of kids we had a focus test with, we said, how do you like playing with that controller? And their first response was, it's harder, but it's more fun. There's a paradigm pain associated with learning something new. But if you do learn it and get good at it, you can be a great pilot.
We decided not to force the issue. We just wanted to make it an option for players if they decided to use it for the Warhawk or the ground vehicles, which works very well.
The Warhawk has all of its attention focused on making a AAA online experience. Phasing out the single player allows the team to really polish multiplayer. Right now we're targeting 32 players. That really is the sweet spot for our game. We've played with more and played for less, but really 32 players is about as big as we really want to go because, again, our game is incredibly fast-paced.
There is a technical side of why we're kind of pulling back to 32, because when we start getting a lot of things happening in the environment, you have to send out a lot of data, and you really need a big pipe to handle that. Most homes really aren't equipped to handle having a server that supports that many players. So if a typical person launches their PS3 and wants to host a game and via a server, we will limit those players to not allow them to host 32 players because they just can't support it.
The server approach that we've taken with Warhawk is primarily for Warhawk. You know, we're all gamers. We want to be able to have our own servers. We want to be able to practice with our buddies and have our own clan. So our server approach, our dedicated server model, was primarily driven by the needs of Warhawk and not the greater picture.
The dedicated server came about for several reasons. One is that as a company, we want to host servers ourselves. And obviously, if we host these servers, we don't want to have people manning them constantly. So we want to be able to put out there several hundred servers that people can play on a big bandwidth connection that support a lot of players, that if a player starting a server from home, they may not be able to do that. You know, in the PC arena, they've been doing this for a long time. And ISPs that want to host a server set those servers up in their facilities on their bandwidth. And really, we want to allow people to do the same thing. So if it's a popular game, people are going to pick it up. But rather than having to have a special build that's a server build, they just got to plug it into their PS3, set up the server, and it's running.
One interesting and good side effect of kind of making a decision to go multiplayer is that we have a pool of assets, of other vehicles, of other towns, of other things that we can pull from and actually use to offer as, you know, if Sony wants it, if it's successful, expansion pack.
We were approaching downloadable content from the get-go, so we tried to make things as data-driven as possible, you know, knowing that new maps could be dropped in, or vehicles, or whatever they decide to sign off on.
You don't have to install a patch. You know, it's all ready to go. And Now that allows us to say, we'll come out with an expansion pack that has a new level and new vehicles. Not only that, it's built all the way through our system so that our statistics, which we're gathering for each player, will take that into account. So now you can see how many times you've run over somebody with this new vehicle or killed somebody with this new vehicle or how long you've been driving it.
The reward system is very, very deep in Warhawk. We have an extensive online medals, badges, ranks, ribbons, and statistics. We're tracking more than 2,500 statistics, which is pretty much unheard of for a PlayStation game.
We don't only award points for combat features, but we have all sorts of team play awards as well. So if I spend the time to defend my base or spend the time to kill people that are trying to attack or expanding my territory influence, I get points for that. And so I can increase my personal ranking, get awards, get medals, just for a solely defensive or a solely team play type of game.
The game modes in Warhawk are pretty easy to pick up and play. People have played these game modes ever since multiplayer was around.
We've tried to focus across the board so that all of our levels and all of the maps support all the different game modes.
We have the basic ones like Deathmatch and Team Deathmatch where you just kill everybody. Then we have the more advanced modes like Capture the Flag, which everybody knows Capture the Flag, but it does take a little bit more teamwork, which is where some of the voice over IP comes in handy, and multiple slots in vehicles, driving the guy that's got the flag around, defending him. Along with these standard modes you've seen in a lot of other games, we've added this zones mode on top of that, which is more of a strategic type of gameplay. In territories mode, you capture the base and then grow the territory, which then allows you to get new assets depending on what level your territory is, and it also increases your team score per, every 3 seconds, 5 seconds, you get a team score. So the more bases you have and the bigger the territories are and the more you have linked to your main base, you'll gain more points.
We've received great feedback about how the game plays online, and single player just really wasn't up to par. And we owe it to the players to not force them to buy something that's not good enough. They deserve better. So having multiplayer really strong and polished, that's what we're going for.
So I'm taking a break from Comic-Con and hanging out at the THQ Gamers Day event where we got to take a look at some of the biggest titles that are coming out as well as talk to some of the developers. So let's check it out.
We try to be really faithful to the R.E. Howard novels. I mean, that's our inspiration from day one. Conan, he kind of fights dirty. He doesn't really, follow the rules. So he's got finishing moves where he'll kick a guy in the nuts and, shove him to the ground. He'll take 2 swords and decapitate a guy, like he's slicing bread. And it's just a lot of fun. I mean, our goal with Conan is to make the ultimate kick-ass combat adventure game to ship early 2008 for PS3 and Xbox 360.
The cool thing about Juice 2 is that we've signed up with Hot Import Nights, which is they run